start our events and when we do our work that we root ourselves in prayer and in ceremony. That is the foundation of our strength as Diné people. And I'm really just honored to introduce our lineup of speakers today because they are people who have shown throughout the decades their commitment and their love for our people and for our land, and have traveled a long way to come here to be heard by our nation's leaders and by our Navajo Nation President, but we heard that he's not coming to council today. So we're going to make sure that we highlight and uphold these voices and their expertise in any way that we can, because these are the real leaders of our nation and of our people. And with that said, I'm going to pass the mic to Janene Percy Deal, longtime advocate out of Hard Rock, Arizona. Very strong water warrior and land protector from Hard Rock, Arizona, that's going to present on some of the issues that are facing their community as a result of the new decisions that are coming down from this leadership.
Yes, so I want to thank Janene for the introduction and giving me a few moments up here to talk to the people. I come from Leetso, which is Flat Mesa. Zitten saholige ade nasha do ade benda ade shitligo do da ade kehashte. I've been there for all my life, and my parents, they're both gone, and my grandparents, they're all gone. We all been living there. We didn't come from any other place. We always called that place home. And it's always been home to us. I just want to share a few words as my brother David spoke a while ago. I served with him on the Navajo Nation Council during the mid-'80s and the latter part of the '80s. I also served with him on the Navajo County Board of Supervisors. And during those times, you know, the young man, Mr. Toshi, has been very instrumental in a lot of things, particularly in protecting the Navajo and the Native American interests, their sovereignty, their trust, their land, their resources, and so forth. No matter how much effort we put in there, it seems that at one time it may die down a bit, but a few days later, a few months later, a few years later, it comes back again. It keeps coming back. And I think that one of the reasons why it does that is because it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. The current challenge, I feel that the young people should learn to face up the current challenge that we are in right now. You know, it was just a few days ago that I have learned that Satsui, the man with the black hat, the Janene, happened to be in D.C. talking to Mr. Yellowhair, And I guess you all know that Mr. Yellowhair issued over 125 executive orders. There's a number of them within that executive order that does impact us. And I'm happy to say that the Navajo Nation Council, the Speaker, members of the Council, they've been able to stand up to at least 3 or 4 different executive order things that does impact the education, the health, the welfare, and so forth. They stood up to it. They issued a statement, a resolution, and sent it back to D.C. And during that whole time, I have not heard anything from Sitsui, and all of a sudden, almost a couple of weeks ago, a statement came out which did actually endorse one of those executive orders. The executive order is 1424-1. I have a copy of it right here. By the way, this executive order opens up all federal land, including reservation, including the Navajo land. It opens up, it gives a directive to certain, like the Secretary of the Interior and so on. There's a number of departments that it gives the order to, so that they can come out, do a report to find out what is available out here in the federal land, including the Indian reservation, including the Navajo reservation. And I'm sure there's a whole list of things that they listed that are available on and within the Navajo reservation. For example, it names uranium in here. It names oil and gas. It named coal. So all these things probably are now in the hands of Mr. Yellowhair, looking for the next step that needs to be done. The sad thing is that he never spoke to any of us. Never did. I mean, he's got a vehicle here furnished by the tribe. He's got time that he could have gone out to, for example, the Black Mesa, and talk to us and say, what do you think? There's this executive order that talks about coal. What do you think? We could have given him, what our thought is. But that didn't happen. We didn't know that he was going to do what he has done until after the statement was issued through a written email, or rather, what do you call that? Anyway, a statement wherein he talked about expressing his support of this executive order and endorsing the executive order. I mean, here, members of the Navajo Nation Council are trying to protect the Navajo Nation from losing their job by or impacting the education, the health, and other resources on the Navajo reservation. But Sitsui gets to D.C. and he actually does endorse probably one of the most dangerous executive order, which is to dig up more coal, drill Mother Earth, use more water. Each and every industry that are within the Navajo reservation, it requires water. it requires lots and lots and lots of water. Let me just give you one example. In Black Mesa, where I'm from, in 1969, between the Navajo tribe, Hopi tribe, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or rather the Department of Interior, they signed a lease with Peabody Coal. Not only did they authorize him to dig up coal, but to also give him the aquifer water. And during that time, they used billions and billions and billions of gallons of water. You know, on Black Mesa, there is no lake in the area. There is no river in the area. The only water that we have are two things. One is from the rain and snow. The other is what we have in the ground. Now, Peabody used up, we don't know how much of the water supply it used. We've been trying to get information on that. And I'm pretty sure Navajo Division of Resources, they know, but they won't share that information with us. But whatever industry is brought to the Navajo Nation, they are going to, it's not just that material, it's water, it's water, it's water, it's talk that's included. You know what, you all seen all these saying verses. Water is precious. That's exactly what it is. When they issued permission for this industry to use water, they're taking life away from us. Everything that's living on Mother Earth, it needs water. I'm really concerned. And in his statement that he issued, he talked about bringing back coal. And I'm just so afraid that he's talking about another industry to replace what Peabody was doing out there. And also to get to the water. You know, the Navajo Nation been working on the northeastern Arizona Native American water rights. In that water rights, Black Mesa area was supposed to get, I believe it was like 8,000 acre-feet of water. If that becomes a reality, and then a new industry, coal industry, were to come in, it's going to take up the whole thing and more. So what do we have? We have water rights, but we don't have the wet water. It's given to some other industry. That's the part that really pains us and it hurts. And I just so much wanted to meet with my Sitsui, I wanted to meet with him either today or tomorrow and talk to him. Let him know the impact that he's opened the door to. And I just found out from a couple of council delegates that he's not there. He's in D.C. again. He's in D.C. again. We're here. We're the people that he's supposed to be representing. He's in D.C., I'm sure, trying to get more understanding, getting more support on this executive order and these industry that he's interested in bringing on in the Navajo Nation. You know, in his release, he talked about how much benefit the people got from the coal the last 50 years. He talks about the jobs that were given. As a matter of fact, he says 3,000 jobs. You know, that's wrong. They only provided 800 jobs out in the Black Mesa and at the NGS in the Page Lachi area. All the other jobs that he's talking about, the 2,800 jobs, is off the reservation. Flagstaff, down the valley, elsewhere. So I'm thinking, what's going on? He and Mr. Yellowhair, they have teamed up to do, in the name of providing revenue, jobs, and better economy for the rest of the country and the Navajo Nation. He's misleading everybody. They are misleading everybody. You know, when you turn on the TV, that's all they talk about is the stuff that Mr. Yellowhair did today. And there's so much protest going on everywhere in the big city. I'd like to see a big protest here on the Navajo Reservation from all corners of the Navajo land. I'd really like to see that, to demonstrate to Mr. Blackhat over here that what he is doing is not appreciated. It does not reflect our livelihood, does not reflect our culture, does not reflect our religion or belief. And I made the trip all the way over here, hoping to spend maybe 5 minutes of his time. But he's not here. He's 2,000 miles away. And at least there are members of the Navajo Nation Council here. Maybe we can all get a chance to speak to maybe 2 or 3 of them, each and every one of you. Talk to your own council delegate that we really need the president's attention. We need the council's attention. We need to be able to express our feeling, our belief. All we're trying to do is preserve what little water that we have. You know, the state of Arizona is in the state of water shortage, and that is extremely serious. The river, Colorado River and Little Colorado, they're all going down. And it's getting more and more difficult. And the coal industry and the other industry that's going on cause a climate change. And through the climate change, we're not getting the weather that we used to get at this time. We used to get real nice rain, real nice snow, from which we get the moisture to wet the ground and to help us. We didn't get that simply because of the climate change. And we need our leaders to understand this. And I'm hoping that, I'm urging you, I'm urging all of you, Sean, to think about getting everybody together, the other organizations that are going to be here tomorrow. You need to have a good communication, a good connection, shake hands, embrace each other, and make a decision that we're going to be one voice, one mind, one direction. That's what we really need to do. Let's implement it. Let's do it. I don't
Yeah, very powerful words and a very important reminder that we deserve accountability from our leaders who are making these decisions that impact our lands and our people, and they should be here and prioritize meeting with their constituents. I'm going to pass it to one of our strong matriarchs, Robin Jackson, Executive Director of Diné Care, to share about their work and what they stand for.
Okay, hi everyone. Robin Jackson Inishia. So I'm part of the Navajo Environmental Justice Organization, Diné Care, and we work on energy and environmental issues affecting Navajo Nation lands in Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and there are a lot of energy and environmental issues that we can't ignore. Our lands have been affected by oil and gas, coal, uranium mining, and there's a lot of waste issues associated with all of that extraction that has happened on our lands. And sadly, there are new proposals out there which still are fossil fuel based, which are still related to oil and gas, still an extraction process through oil and gas, through coal mining, and also some projects out there that haven't really been tested elsewhere, but they want to test it on Navajo lands, things like carbon sequestration. They want to do things now like hydrogen pipeline development. They want to expand helium, which is still oil and gas drilling, that's still fracking. And all of those industries, they all take millions of gallons of water. And in this day and age, just as the previous speaker said, our communities, our households still don't have running water. They still don't have enough water for their own home use, for their own crops and being able to do dryland farming. And the thing is that when you talk with community members, people who live on the land consistently, people who are farmers, people who are ranchers, they'll tell you that they notice that there's less water, there's less rainfall, there's less snowfall. I myself, I live in Wheatfields, Arizona, which is along the Chusca Mountain Range. And this past winter was scary. We didn't have hardly any snow. It was so dry. And then a fire started in Crystal. It didn't take much for a fire to start. So this issue of climate change, even though the federal administration right now in the U.S. is wanting to get rid of that language, they're removing it from funding sources, they're removing it from their requirements of what they're supposed to do to address climate change, it's still happening. And the people who live on the land, the indigenous people who still pray to their deities, who still make offerings, who still live, who still farm, who still ranch, we see it and we can't ignore it. And I am disappointed in our tribal leadership with President Nygren not addressing climate change.
Yeah. Yes.
He's young leadership and he should be working on that. That should be a priority for this administration. How can they ignore it? How can he ignore it? He has children. What is the world going to be like for them? Are we creating a land that's livable for our future generations? This is our home. This is our ancestral land. We don't want to go anywhere else. This was the land where we come from. We have to make sure that we're taking care of it. And addressing climate change is part of that. Even though in the federal administration right now, they're attacking environmental organizations. They don't want us talking about climate change. They don't want us talking about all of the oil and gas. They don't want us talking about the coal. We can't be going backwards in time. Our people have been so impacted by coal and mining. They've been impacted by power plant emissions. All of the heavy pollutions and toxins that come from power plants, past uranium mining that hasn't been cleaned up, and now we're having to deal with transportation issues on the western side of uranium going through our lands, possible transportation on the eastern side. Our indigenous people in the Southwest and throughout the world have been so impacted by uranium. There isn't one Diné family who hasn't lost someone to something like cancer, to some form of uranium that's impacted their relatives. It's so frustrating and saddening, and I'm disappointed in leadership in not tackling these issues. They need to. What do they expect? How are we going to live if they're not working on these issues, if they're not working with community? They need to care about public health. They need to care about our land and our ancestral connection. This land was here before we were. We need to honor that. We need to remember that. We need to love and respect Mother Earth and Father Sky. And so I'm here today with my fellow organizers across Dinétah, grassroots community members. And we're here to speak up and we're here to talk to leadership. And so for those who are listening, who are working with us, we thank you. We need to do this work together, collectively, for the future.
Yeah, very powerful, getting everyone riled up. Now we're going to pass it over to Sarah Adakai, who traveled down from Northern, is that correct? From Rama. Oh, good. We never want to forget our satellite communities. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sarah, for traveling all the way out here.
Yat A should Shidane. She yat at the Nepizat, Ajit A Yashki Ho, Ashi Aji A Kistahuiz Net Dolly. Sarah Adakai, that's Jene. Nana Sarah Hinio Adakai, the Hot Ado Shahat Olzen. I call Yet or Chenaholia, the last day in this cheese is not the Holia, the Eke Hashke. The Asia Cotton, the Asia Twasaka. Cobandate, Iniki, the Kaya, Bacado, Ado Le, Nahidi, Yego, doing the Abi big Kaigi, Yashi, put out a Yashi in that baby, be Salago, Bishiaho, a call. Is that the Kobayadil Kiigi, Hassan? Yen Hazos, but doing the Chunil Iniki needs Tahoodza, Tahodo Nif, Ado Bahuin, take at Anye Washington or the Adi Nik. Behas Ani, Tahotal net doing the call. Don Han Saha Keso put on her to the Hotis Kaziki Jo A Yako by a day. I call Dishe. Nishfiniki e yakshishe, then the enshle, Nye Nashkalet and the abbot at Niniki, Nye Mascalero, de Ade, Shamasane, Shicho, Oshazazat and Lingo, Hot Ade Ea, Ashkata de Steo, Epote Ea, Kedahani. Ado in the Tobashna Aja Ea, Bashishin, and Ye Loyasto, Dahojon, Dahasne, Ado, Crash Edo, Hayuka Hat. But it's in the Ea Dashichi, Ado, Kiane Ea Dashanale, a hot our Ashishan of Sandoli. This Ea, Yebel, this and El Deo, the English Doin da Bezilo Ultra has a University of New Mexico, Ado Southwest Research and Information Center in Trigo Ea, Na Al Kahigi Ajish and Nish Ashliko Ea at Nadine, then Nadine, Nahakut a call. Ostada Ea, Ado Leba, the Wind, Egot, you say, the Najob Bahos and Dolly, Ben Ea, a caution on Nishnashti or Patahashne or Honda Kahigi. I could out Lago, Naskaigi, Delia. Ati, Leetso Yahigi. Binyenta as gate doing the Benagod, Neketa hat Betotnas cargo, Ado in the Dacon, Yek Haltatole, Con Ado Lab, Lead and Dark Haye, Jo Yahashil so Atelia Saline, Co Ahandik a pit dahon, Netoin, the be in Sahogat at the Yila. A co crag benina con das Kaigi. Yisak at Honey Bige Lago Yahash and the Has Kigot. Doda Ebits Ado, Nal Kahegi, Sachigo, and Natalia, so a country call a chine, a benda code, Nihizani Dohas too, Koya yatastki osto koto hashin soge ishjane datilia. Yegon halchene etkel doing the dasato bahanda yozita. Doing the da a crab chanya delski doing the bichampe has on it a hollow. Jokot ya kotoya yatastki. Zza was a be ya benak eshtot de steko koto hata hasiko. Jo ajato. Hashin so ban saha case kin hachine ni hanot ani doing the ho as keha yo easy koden hachine edot asko ban saha case na hasan bakha is a lie doing the ye hadet papa ni chetole to bech ahne tatole he Hashin so abeni ahotetle halan la tote Belakana doing that Zaza Sahot Adon he get it doing that on Hinizeni Nihi in that to Sato edi delki Joko yan hinago yan da kido yanaka. Ado in the Danana Hechin Hakiet Tuka nanat elto Nihasan ye hadet ade ishin is naznel ye hadet edot antahyon yes to aid us for Sahoi la dolly. Dog be big 8 hit a huisi, she do us for honey, Keda had ego home, Baba, Ban Sahakis go. I could see there near Washington open Yana Alta. I call Kate that your casa not on in the jotly, so not on it that your labor home that your car. Is that though, ya, hard the la. Sahot Nayee Holola, hat ela benina edo tahanila, halet ina, Sahot edo lese, Jo ya Pichaya at Kiigi, Haela, Hadela, Coen das Kala, hat Nenegito, Baka hat Gida, Akon ye, Beltisonel da ya, Vindal University of New Mexico, ICA. At Bitzila or Iowa. I could anda at Kahegi, Kaya Pakaki, Haishita Holoni, at Hinted or Lisi, at the Bishop Adat, Cesars at the Bizet at the Hollow, Haen Hayadat, a quarter 8 arts for Nal Kahebi Yadobe, the husband. Southwest Research and Information Center, for Yegi, Nal Sausagish at Nasnil Natin das Ka. Ajabas at the Hoseni doing the Yego Yan Yatas doing Yatas Kai. Edobe, she babies behind Neta. Dodo Kwankis Nahadol Neto that you need us to. I could also nego Nate Heshi Nikaya, which at the head Dahi. Ade or Haishi Hashit Fakano da Halne or Ajo that this open up in Nayee, Kohaya da Hani Singo, put up in Yenta Jacobo. She in Singo, Yego, which I had a figure, Yad Eto, I put our bait that in saw the corner. It's a hard thing, Percy, Jonago. A bit Diego that he did Sosminiki, Potati, Shishe, Yan shut up after Nana or the Donana or the Nathan of Shendene. Ye is such a dot what at Corgi, lady, not what ain't there. For the necker had been the aid of the Hakot had the shadow before. I don't ever just take what. Chini yol ayo niche atana chin den hinet ligo shin ekombaya del kido sato sto ayini na hotos kisa shin ekon cheol ye to in the niyol ta hotat adol ayen hisni akho dia put ahon so any hatis to ti khode niye church structure nekha hat Leetso hata gave Adre na kigo has Besnitashnishok and not Dean Donna was at Naha. I put our ya, the Keta Honsen, a Hoko Yasa, ni tahtahola Edith Hood Ado Larry King da ashi da da dash ni so bes eta ke desh ko ya da say ko a ko ke ha ko ni ja hasid ole
Yeah. We have all the elements showing up for us as our people are speaking strength and love and resistance to what's going on in our homelands. I'm going to pass it to Shadeja, one of our young matriarchs, Cheyenne Antonio from Pueblo Pintado, who has done amazing work really bringing awareness and organizing against oil and gas extraction on Navajo Nation, among other things. But
Yat onosko Cheyenne Antonio Yingshia. Halto nishlero tkachini bashichin, hashkishni dasha chedo kiani dashanele. Akut out the nenstan shlero on akudi the necker banashnish the energy organizer in Shle. So yat everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'm glad our elements are here with us today. Hopefully they blow away all of this colonizing behavior that we've been seeing for the past 2 years from this administration. I don't really like what's happening as a Diné son, as a Hatsoe and Tkachitni person. I feel like since Boo is Tkachitni, I as a Tkachitni person am obligated to organize and out-organize and figure out the solutions in our community. From oil and gas to uranium to coal. We were really fooled. We were really played. I want to say that out loud as Navajo people. We were played. This is what abusers do. They play you. They manipulate you. They do things without your consent. They work with a rapist named Donald Trump. These are all bad things. These are all bad. This is something we as a people need to unite on for the sake of our health, for the sake that my children don't get contaminated with frack dust, with coal dust, with uranium dust. It's really messed up working. I'm very blessed to be working for an environmental justice organization that's been here since the 80s. I'm very blessed that Diné has stopped nuclear incinerators in the 80s, and we plan to do the same now. We are really seeing our history play out in our future, and that is really sad. As an energy organizer, I've worked with communities along the Hull site of uranium, so from Flagstaff all the way to Blanding. I've worked with community members from there, and they are all upset. They all feel disrespected. I don't know how many Mussons and Chays I've seen cry and give their heart out and explain all of the trauma that these industries have inflicted on our people. Trauma of land theft, trauma of water theft, all of it, and having to experience it again. Our elders are under attack. Our people need to wake up and start organizing. We need to start shaming our leaders for selling us out, especially out where I'm from, where we're all from. We are all struggling here. We all have a similar struggle of this administration selling out our water. We are in the negotiations of a water rights settlement, not just one not just one water rights settlement, multiple water rights settlements. The water settlement that impacts my community is the San Jose and Rio Puerco water settlement out of New Mexico. That's the water settlement that impacts us. The Arizona Northeastern water settlement is also in negotiation right now. That's what Dinétah explained earlier, Percy. It's crazy that we don't have water rights settlements, but we have coal leasing, we have uranium leasing, We have oil and gas leasing. And it's really sad to see this administration use these colonizing tactics to put us against each other. Odaba'i. That's not the way you organize. That's the way you create more harm in communities. Native women, 4 out of 5 experience violence in their lifetime. We haven't even seen the traumatic impact of these man camps. These border towns are the original man camps. Grants is a man camp. Gallup is a man camp. Farmington is a man camp. And to go off into oil and gas a little, right now we have 2 companies that have approached the Eastern Checkerboard area for a man camp proposal near Navajo Lake, which is near our sacred sites. Speaking of our lakes and our water, how many do we actually have? They're all drying up right now. That should be a state of emergency for everyone. Leaders should actually see that and be concerned rather than just selling us out. And so we are seeing a culture of sellout. That's not our culture. That's not the Navajo people. We do not sell out. We fight. We resist. We call it out. We see it for what it is. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Stand up and stand up for what's right, because you have so many people right behind you. Young people, please stand up. There's a lot of young people that were just around here. They need to know that this government, the Nygren administration, a staff of 20 with a salary over 100K are selling us out. That's your money. That's your dollars. How many Native women have actually, their cases gone into a full justice process? All these down here. They all got lost where? Border towns. I do not want to be a statistic. I don't want any of my relatives here to be a statistic. Boo Nygren, your staff of 20. We do not want to be a statistic. Stop selling us out to Donald Trump. No. Hear us here. You're supposed to be home. How many sessions do we have to have and our leaders are not here? Please tell your elders that. Tell the kids that. Your leader, our president, doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be here. What are we going to do for a leader that doesn't want to be a leader? All the touchy-knees need to stand up. I'm calling our clans right now to do something. He is still our relative. That sucks. It sucks when your own relative sells you out. And we're seeing it right before our eyes. That's not But this is here. This is here. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up for us. Hazel, our elders here, for always fighting for us and making space for us. It's a shame that Boo did not consult with you guys first. It's a shame that Boo Nygren did not talk to Percy Deal first. That is a shame. So, as I hope we all shame him together. Because Doya Shoda, it's not right for my children, my children's children, to be sold out to fracking companies. The Eastern Land Commission has been selling us out, and the director of that is Leonard Sosi. Please email me back, Leonard Sosi. I would love to know what you're doing to our lands. Because you're selling us out and going to D.C. Our people are not in D.C. Our people are here. So please respond to our email. If y'all see Boo or Leonard, please tell them their email, the Nick Care back. We'd appreciate that. But akure, and please have a good day, and we'll see you guys soon.
Deja. Next, we're going to hear from longtime warrior Edith Hood, who has taken a lifelong stance in addressing and bringing attention to the impacts of uranium, processing, milling, and unreclaimed mines on the Navajo Nation, and the true devastation that this causes families and communities who are still fighting for this contamination to be cleaned up and addressed across the Navajo Nation.
Yad anotso kuinda so kegi do akanda jagi o shidi irkutnisha Redwater Pond Road Community das no aden aden na sha dishne is that okay? Akkodit ane kui dina shit no yeah aden niya o the kui the she bu Nygren Pesta skanda si kuidina sabeti no kada dat vet on kia islo aten asobetai seta. All right, now what we're talking about is, most of the 4 elements that we deal with as human beings: the water, the air, the land, and just having a home. Mother Earth, Nasa, Shema, Sudati, no, Sudati Zenze. Yeah, Kote, Tashin Sogo, Beso Oto, Ni, no, Oni, Kayahan, Natahastit, Ahapanchakhe. Nshinle, Tanhirante, Leetso. 1960 da adenda kaho ita nshiyahina na nishtahalo no ita ya ai silchin da nitlo adena iste juta ledon hifanne da chin da nitlo ot ande ishi all yeah uranium, hatat of gotat no, baha on cheese. Adot that is nish aquid and hivano aquin in na bokota hot could yeah. 1970, 1980, I show his nane. What they left there is still there to be cleaned up. That should put that shit in some little Sunday. Don't you that you get it to show us a stuff. Enough is enough. Ni kaya ha. Oh, but it's up. But I say put don't need. No, odd. Idle. Triple hashnagiti, the 4 elements is snowbashne. Every human being needs those 4 elements to live. Dashat based on it, the snow. Because I listen to the news. Edit abishit nanis so. Akon, no. Hat isha ani. You see, tap ihoni ra. Window rock to the show the nasa staffle. Don't chon the hot, Edo. Don't chon the hot, Edo. That need none of it. Did on Hana that, the snow. Okay. Kohaol, GJ. They are shown. But I can't live with the business. Mr. King, that
They said, you are actually like living right in the middle of the grounds where they use all the mining stuff and everything. And they had a road where people were working 24 hours a day. And we lived right there. Never did anyone say, this is bad, you can't live here. It's what happened. 50 years later, 60 years later, Ganet should celebrate. And they were going to do a sampling of the roads along the highway that led into the mine area. We joined up, started sampling with the people. Come to find out, it went right into the middle of the community. We went all the way up the ditches, the waterways. At the end of that, we found out we had 30 feet of terrible waste water, tracks, dirt, and that is how much they dug up just to clean the area right there. But that's only one area. And then there are homes on the south side. They started checking dirt and all that. They had to move some people out just to clean up that area. Yeah, it's taking 20 years, 30 years. Navajo Nation, Aten. These are outside people helping us clean up the uranium waste in the area. Coyote Canyon chapter. Why can't you put us, have Navajo Nation do something for us here? The first thing they said was, ni beso daten. Beso stishne, the bedishna. Akonde. Beso fandato, Mshitan halato, is the response I got from the chapter house. And they wonder why we went straight to talk with the US EPA. They're trying to help us get that mess out of the community. But it's taking a long time. Never once has Boo Nygren been in the talks. Aden. Akodi alchinia rekonda ka kodania. Naka alchinini tsada shit at khadana se sky hala. Ebenina basada hasitli. Akodi akonda hashi. And it's taking so long to do anything about it. What's a month? And he organized that India. Navajo Nation can't do it. And we even asked the Gallup community to help us. To, even check on their quality of water. They wouldn't even do that for their own city of Gallup. And of course, like everyone else, our elders are all gone. So it's up to us to keep this going. We just have to keep at it. And I am very thankful for people like you that listen to us. I want to talk about this.
Tieha, Edith, you always speak so powerfully and call for that accountability that each of our communities need. I'm going to pass it to another one of our warriors that has been organizing to address the issue of uranium contamination across the Navajo Nation. Larry King? Ade, it's your turn.
Everybody's set.
Yay, Larry! See? Everyone wants you to speak.
Try not to wobble. What part of the day is good afternoon? Can you hear me?
No.
Okay. I'll be talking both Navajo and English, Navajo or either or whatever. Anyway, Larry King, 67 years old, and I've been living and still living to this day around contaminated sites. Just across the highway from an abandoned uranium mine that has still yet to be cleaned up. And that's 7 miles north of Church Rock on State Road 566, where all this contamination that people talk about around the area, Redwater Pond. I joined NDN back in 1997, not knowing that there was a new company that was going to do a modern technology type of mining, ISL mining, in situ leach mining, which is a type of deliberate contaminating of the aquifer, existing aquifer, to get what to extract uranium from the water. Church Rock and Crown Point. Little did I know that the Church Rock portion was right in my backyard, less than 1,000 feet from where we live. The only thing that divided us from that contamination was an existing highway. So, but I've also started working at UNC right after high school back in 1975 as an underground laborer for 2 years, and then as an underground surveyor for the next 4 years or 6 years, a total of 8 years working at UNC mine. As a lot of former coworkers back in the days had said the same thing, that we were never told the danger of being exposed to uranium at a very young age. And I know UNC did not abide by the safety regulation because I was there, and the only time they had safety, they got in the safety mode is when inspectors were scheduled to come into the mines. Safety protocols were set up underground, but as soon as the OSHA inspectors were out, it was back to the same conditions of the underground mines. And I was also there working the day of the July 16, 1979 uranium spill, or the tailings spill, which released over 94 million gallons of toxic waste from the UNC mill ponds. But I always say that's not the only day that contaminated laced with heavy metal that was released through the Perco wash. The Perco wash goes through downtown in the middle of Gallup, New Mexico. I don't know if the people from Gallup are ever aware of that. Several years ago, when we formed and started talking about the issues of cleanup, bringing up this issue of the contamination that flowed through the city of Gallup, I always look at the faces of the local people there, the townspeople. It seemed like they didn't show any kind of concerns at all. But contamination flowed through that water back in the 60s. That's when the the mines were being sunk. UNC mine, and then another mine close by, less than a quarter mile of Kerr-McGee. Since they were the type of mines called wet mines, meaning that the working conditions were in the existing aquifer, so they had to pump the mine waters up to the surface in order for activities to go for the workers and the heavy equipment to do the job underground. So that was being released untreated from the early 60s all the way up to 1995 when the mine pumps were finally shut off. And there was contaminated water being released from both mines for all those years. And we're coming up across our 46th annual commemoration march at the Redwater Pond community on July 19th, commemorating what UNC had inflicted on the community. My sister here just kind of mentioned about the contamination. It was when I joined NDN, we were able to, with the organization, to practically educate and make the council, back then were 88 members, raised awareness of what was happening in Church Rock and the mines that were there and the cleanup. But during those times, NDN was able to, in collaboration with the New Mexico Environmental Law Center, Southwest Research and Information Center, and other allies. I know Diné, I've heard Diné group being called into the mixtures. There were several allies, but during that time, we were able to collaborate with the OPBP. Back then, they were listening. We got the president at that time, from 2003 to 2011, the Shirley administration was able to sign off on the Navajo Nation law, the Diné Protection Act, banning uranium mining on the Navajo Nation. And also during that time, we did the sampling of the community, and that's how we found out how contaminated Redwater Pond community was, and that's how they were able to establish themselves. And back in 2007, and to this day, they're still fighting. We're still fighting to get our community cleaned up. Back in 2022, when during the campaign season, the president-elect had approached me when he was still running, and several times, and he always asked about the abandoned mines in my backyard, and also further up about another 6 miles to Kerr-McGee, UNC. How's the cleanup going? And I said, nothing hasn't been done. Well, when I get in office, we'll get everything done. We'll get everything. Nothing. We haven't seen him at all to this day. We've just like Edith said, we've invited him several times. He will not come over to our area at all. In fact, right after the general election, I was able to meet. Finally, after several attempts, I got a hold of his staff, his chief of staff. And he told me over the phone that we were not priority because we did not campaign on behalf of the administration at that time. I'd like one of that too. So I want to make sure I call that out. So anyway, I believe we're running out of time. There's a limit on the time, so I'll leave it right there. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Larry, for that background. It's so helpful to hear about how different administrations have taken different approaches to our communities, because it shows a stark difference between the current administration and administrations of the past. Next, I'm going to pass it to one of our sisters that's here, bringing awareness to some of her issues. Lori Lee from Sawmill, a Diné warrior that works on the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act.
Yate, everyone. Lolama. My name is Lori Lee Sikayamtiwa. Many know me as well on social media as Dewayasnim. I am Sac and Fox, Hopi, and Diné. My clans are Fox Clan. I'm from Shroud, Oklahoma. I am born for Dawa, Sun Clan of Hope Vela, Third Mesa. And my Chays are Kia'ani. I hail from Sawmill, Borough Park. And my family is the Billiman family there. And my Nayees are Greasewood from Hopi. And I'm very honored to be here today, as well as wrapping up the event that is very important and vital. Coming myself, this is very personal to me. I am one of the participants with the members that took a number of our elderly, our community members, and even our youth to Washington, D.C. to bring attention to our national leaders, as well as our local leaders, as well as our Navajo and Indigenous leaders of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act and the reauthorization of the RECA Act, in which is the compensation of the exposure of many decades and eras of uranium. And as you know, uranium has been a part of not only Dinétah, but Hopi land, the Paiutes, the Wallapais, the Havasupais, the Utes, the Apaches, and it still goes on today. The RECA Act, if you can also look back, this front of fighting with uranium not just covers our Native people and brown people and minorities and people that are out there in the rural, but it covers all of Americans and citizens. This uranium has been a part of our culture in America for profits. And many have died, have been exposed, have been minors, have been descendants, and that's where we came about to be here as a solid front from Sawmill. We call ourselves the Diné Warrior Society. My Aunt Maggie Billiman has been an activist in the environmental and injustice for Native Americans and Navajo people for a lot of decades now, including going up and suing the New Mexico State, as well as Gallup, New Mexico, for injustice like rental, hikes for our indigenous people in Gallup, discrimination. She fights now with the uranium because, as well, it goes back to our own family. We're fighting in 4 generations now the effects of uranium in our own family. My grandfather, my Che, his name is Samuel Billiman Sr., and he was in the World War II and fought as a paratrooper in the United States Army. His brother was, as well, a veteran. He was younger, and my Che took him to Fort Wingate. He was underage, only maybe 16, 17, but my Che went ahead and gave him that support and signed him on to be one of the first original Navajo code talkers. My Che is Howard Billiman Jr. Howard, went and designed and taught and instructed the code back then. So, as you know, we won the war thanks to our traditions, our culture, our language, and our sovereignty here. We won many battles that go even before the World War II. We've survived Fort Sumner. We survived the Calvary. We survived, epidemics before. We've survived these encroachments of our sovereignty land, but at a heavy price. And every time, looking at our leaders, looking at our warriors, our veterans, our educators to continue to protect us, to guide us, to find out our answers that we need to so many questions, and yet we still suffer. So our family went to Washington, D.C. because, as you hear, my Che was a code talker. Che kept that secret for a long time, but he suffered and he died from stomach cancer. His family still lives in a 2-3 bedroom old home. We talk about our veterans not being respected. Now, let me talk about this RECA. You think that America has been fighting since 1940, this uranium. If our government has sold us out again for this transport, for initiating coal mine, $50K for a claimant. Do you think that would have helped someone live? That's just a bucket too. We were trying to increase, expand, and extend this RECA. One of the elements is the downwind. There should have been more claimants from indigenous lands from Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona than any other society because we were the first targets first. We were Holocaust first. We were tested first. The Paiutes got a big, agreement right at because they were, stage 1, but we were the same with Navajo. We don't have one cancer center here that's fully staffed, that takes in chemotherapy patients, that has holistic medicine involved, that has hospice. My family suffers, my Chase suffers for our freedoms. How dare Trump and our president dismiss that history?
Yeah.
Because that history validates my family's suffering medically.
Yeah.
How can you dismiss my Chase valor, his suffering? He got awarded the Silver Heart Medal, remember? He died 3 months before. He got awarded the RECA after he died. Is that justice?
No.
There's so many people now, the families that went to D.C., all of them are sick. Some of them are stage 4, but they still went. Tomorrow, I do have respect for my leaders. I am an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. I vote here in Fort Defiance. I worked for Navajo Nation for 22 years. I'm in media. I have done films. I have done TV. The documentaries you heard about with Percy Dill, with Black Mesa, with Church Rock, I've helped initiate some of those documentaries for years and decades, and I have made sure that our president was tagged since his announcement, because they need to remember the atrocities that still go on. Imagine fighting since 1940 for that $50,000 for a person, and now we're still here in 2025. Do you think this agreement of this revenue from coal or uranium, that 1.5 million, is going to cover anything about health? Or those roads that have potholes and they're transporting the uranium on? That 1.5 million is only going to pay for a mile. That doesn't help you. And as well, there was no respect for our allies, our sovereign, native, indigenous allies, like our Paiutes, Apaches, my tribe, Hopi. Consultation in these water rights, consultation with this coal mine. This still hinges on those compacts in each state with each tribe. Our president cannot as well do like a Trump and dictate for everyone. No. And I'm here today to say that our voice can continue on because we still have battles yet to go. I'm honored to be here, but I'm also here because tomorrow my family is going to be getting recognized with the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. We are going to have, our time with the council tomorrow, and I invite you to come. It plays with you. It dares. It's a hypocritical kind of thing. But I see it's a platform. I can't say I'm not going to be there because what I represent is you, your children, my Nayee, my family in Hopi. We're downwinders. I lost 7 people 2 years ago. Half of them were all cancer. My auntie took care of Emily Pike in their homes. The other child that was missing from that home, she used to take care of them. She died last 2 years. She used to take care of these kids like they were her own. But she suffered to the very last end with liver cancer. And she died. And she was Hopi. And that's the downwind. So it affects everyone. And we have to be solid as one. And I'm here for all my brothers and sisters. I called on some really respected, activists and, advocacy.
and matriarchs and patriarchs we have, I had to call too to gain the strength that I have and clarity to come today, to come tomorrow and guide my family and the group. I appreciate everything our younger generation is doing. I respect all my elders. I know we will get through this. Akehe, Asqueli, Aho, thank you for standing up. Our sites are sacred, our people are sacred, and our journey is sacred. It's going to be challenged. That means we're on the right path. Don't give up.
Ahiha, everyone. We have just a few more speakers. We're going to go and we're wrapping up our press conference now, but I'm going to hand it over to Wendy at City, my lovely sister and just fierce warrior.
Yes, my name is Wendy, and I will show the force of the elements that we have seen here today. Wendy at City Yanashia, Todachini, Nashlido, Ashimbashis. My family's from Herfano, but you'll probably see me on the highways driving between Albuquerque, Farmington, and Gallup. So a nice little square, I guess, triangle there. But I want to thank everybody who's made it here today, especially on the first day of Navajo Nation Spring Session, and to show that our leadership needs to listen, because that's who we represent as our people, and our people are here in Dinétah, and we need to keep coming together and have that unification of our voices. And I just want to recognize some of these really great banners that are out here. Water is life. No mining on sacred land. Right here, one voice, one mind, one prayer. And even on our side, we have where it says divest in coal and invest in community. And another of no uranium, no more cancer. And these words, they're simple words. They're not saying you got to read a book to understand it, because we all live here. We're descendants of our ancestors that have showed the strength over time to protect our mother, protect our father, protect our Mother Earth, Father Sky. And I want to share that, knowing about the remnants of coal, the health studies that come from it, the problems of coming with oil and gas in your backyard, to hearing about fracking, hearing about helium, hydrogen pipelines, and now we're hearing carbon capture, and now looking at high pressurized slurry ablation, and that's like the most handful of words. That's just another pie in the sky idea to share, like this is going to solve everything. But our people know what is to solve. Leave the uranium in the ground. Don't touch it. That's the way we're supposed to do. Honor our natural resources, our water, because right now we're very limited, and we need to acknowledge climate has changed, and to make that distinction in our leadership, to understand we all need to be together, all one voice, one mind, and have a one prayer for everything that we all know and love and protect. And for the future generations of our children, I saw the young people that were here. They're our next leadership. And just to share that we need to continue with the education, to share these types of just things that we know we can come together to. And that communication from our leadership is pivotal, but we still know the heart of our communities are always there, and it's never back down. So I want to give acknowledgement to everyone here, and just to thank everyone, and it's a beautiful day. Just being out here again, and give the floor back to my younger sister, Janene.
Yeah, Wendy. Wendy's such a phenomenal force, and has been a pivotal part of bringing this event here together, and also helping to develop the statement of that was released by a coalition of grassroots groups. And the other force behind this effort is Hazel James Shedde. So I'm going to give her a chance to say a few words to explain more about like what the intent is for this and DCRE's role in all of this.
Like the drum roll.
Yat e shik e do shi Diné yeha kwatla si triki nejone say nejone nejone dole benaho jodo. So that's our theme is get show too. Get show. Get show. Not the two part. And the other word is hajo. Okay, let me explain those two words. Get show means consciousness. Stop and listen. And I guess when we were kids, we used to be told that. You know, our grandmothers used to say, get show, like you were getting naughty, you know. Get show. Well, same for our leaders here. Get show. Listen, we got community here. We have elders here. We have children here. We have issues that need to be spoken about. We have to express what we're trying to initiate for everybody to understand that earth is important. Water is important. Our future generations. And the air and the sun. All the holy elements is what we're here for. And we're not here to actually, you know, just to be here, but really, in reality, the main dream of the vision here is that we want everyone here, even the birds and the spiders are out. We want them to support us. We want them to listen, to get show. And hajo is another one. Again, that involves consciousness, that involves slower, thoughtful thinking. Hajo, analyze it before you speak. And that's what's not happening sometimes along the way with our leaders. They don't hold back before they speak. And especially if they're going to give away our coal. They didn't analyze what the situation is in the communities and on Earth. So those are really important elements of what we're talking about here today. I really appreciate everyone here that's here. Everyone that didn't make it. Everyone that shows support and love for all of us. Not everyone can be at one place at one time. But that's okay. Because what brings us together here today is those prayers. It's the ancestors. They're here with us. They want to continue to be with us as long as we acknowledge them too. As long as we say the words that they kept within us, instilled in us. We talk those words for them today. And I am here as your grandmother, as your mother, as your relative to say Yat Edo Yehat. Thank you for being here with all of us. As far as Diné-centered research and evaluation, DCRE, we are very, very thankful that we are an organization that actually steps back and practices that gesho and hajo. And when we go to that hogan, that's when we're told that by our elders. Hajo, settle down. Hajo, listen. Hajo, take a look at the fireplace. Hajo, find out reanalyze who you are. And readjust and restore and move forward again. And that's how we do in the Hogan. Out here, it's with nature. We hear the birds. We hear all the nice wind that comes by and takes care of us. But you know what? Today was a big day. Today is a great day because we were able to actually speak our voice through these sacred rocks here, to speak our echo into these rocks here, into the plant life, because they will instill everything that we're saying into that hogan right here behind us, behind me. That whole one, that's what they tell us, the elders. That home right there is our home. It's a hogan, whole one. It's a female hogan. And inside that female hogan, there's a lot of teachings. From the way you step into the hogan, all the way around the fireplace and all the way back around. You come exit back out. That's our footprint. And that footprint is really important to us. And so there's so many stories that can go on all day, all night here. But the thing is, I think the most important thing is that DCRE is going to continue to do this work. We're going to continue to do our research papers, and there's our PI, our principal investigator right here, Dr. David Sosi. He really helped us out with the prayer, the beautiful prayer this morning, and opened up the event here. And I'd like to say David Sosi, and then my Shade Best for being here, being our elder here. And everyone that's here, Janene and Sharon and my Yaj, Diné, came all the way back from Flagstaff, and then my supporter here, Jeremiah. You know, without these young people, we wouldn't be here too. We really need every one of you to be very active and involved and learning a place for yourself in this movement. Corridores, Ashim Conso has seat doles, Lord Yahan, Tidini, Chachene. Doshanat, Ani, I just saw Jerry. Yahan.
Hazel, thank you everyone. Thank you to all of our speakers today. Woo! Thank you to all our speakers today. I know there are so many people who have been reaching out ever since they started to see the news all across the United States about what Navajo Nation President Nygren has been doing and the type of deals that he's been making without the free, prior, and informed consent of our people. And I hope those who are watching know, and those that couldn't be here can see from what took place here that there are so many warriors all across the Navajo Nation that continue to fight and that have been fighting for generations for justice, for restoration of our people, for protection of our lands and our waters, and for protection of our future generations. And they will keep fighting because we have fought off several different waves of colonization, and we will continue to fight even when it's led by our own people. We will not give up. We will not give in, and we will not allow no one with any title to violate the free, prior, and informed consent of our people, because that standard came from our own nation. It came from our matriarchs in Black Mesa that were fighting against the most recent forced removal of our people, the largest recent forced removal of our people, because they wanted to open up lands for coal mining. And it was our matriarchs that held it down, that stayed there and protected our lands, and it's going to be our matriarchs that do that again. And this is something that Nygren needs to know. We are here at the first day of spring session with Navajo Nation Council. He was supposed to report here to our elected council delegates because that is part of our checks and balances. That is part of how this nation's government works. But he's not here because he's avoiding accountability. He'd rather be running around in Washington, D.C., making deals he has no authority to make and avoiding accountability from the people that he represents, because everyone has been calling for him to step down and leading recall efforts and calling for him to take accountability because he is not the leader that he said he would be for our people. And we will no longer accept anything that he's doing representing our nation. Our people are strong, and we are powerful, and we may be in a very difficult moment because all of the speakers that you saw speaking here, they're all from organizations, they're all from grassroots struggles that are under threat right now from this very administration. This administration that wants to make sure that there is no more support going towards land defenders and water protectors. There's no more support going towards those who are fighting for climate change. An administration that's trying to erase the history of our advocacy and all of the work that people have been doing to bring attention to the uranium contamination, to the environmental impacts from coal, from natural oil and gas, to the epidemic of missing and murdered indigenous peoples all across our nation. They want to erase that. They even want to erase the legacy of our veterans and the support that they've given to this country. And we need a president that is fighting against that erasure, not making deals and trying to pretend that he's the best buddy of a corrupt, rapist, sexist, misogynist, racist president.
Yeah.
That's the leadership that we are calling for. But the power doesn't come from this office. The power doesn't even come from here. You know, and I was looking at this building when Edith was talking, and she's talking about the cleanup efforts in her communities, the very little cleanup efforts that have happened. And when she said they had to remove 30 feet of earth, that's the size of this building behind me. And how many more? We have over 500 unreclaimed contamination sites that we know of across the Navajo Nation. How much more of our land needs to be cleaned up that way? Our power doesn't come from these institutions or from these buildings. Our power comes from our people, from the warriors that they are, from the ways that we've inherited our resistance against colonization, against all the forces that have threatened life across Dinétah, and the ways that our people have struggled through generations to fight against all of the threats to our lands, our peoples, our waters, and our future generations. And you know what? All of that experience means something, because we're not done. Because right now the attacks are hitting everyone. Everyone now is becoming a victim of this new wave of colonization. Whether they live in our lands or not, whether they are Diné or not, whether they are indigenous or not, everyone's life is threatened by the new decisions that are being made. And so now's the time for them to turn to our warriors, to seek our wisdom and our expertise, because they need to be reminded that they need to be warriors too. And what best way to do that than to come and learn and listen to the warriors that were here and that are all over our nation. And so please get involved. Reach out to Redwater Pond Road community. Reach out to missing and murdered Diné relatives. Reach out to Diné-centered research and evaluation. Reach out to Diné Care. Reach out to Tonajona Ani. Reach out to Doda Fracking. Reach out to Howl No. Reach out to all of the organizations that have built the infrastructure to resist and to resist this type of colonization and protect our people, because we're there, we're ready, and we're waiting for you. And it's time for us to wake up the sleeping giant that is Dinétah, because we are in a time of monsters, and we are the monster slayers. Ahiha. All right.